Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Going On Daily live morning show, Saturday morning edition. We haven't been here in a while, but it's that crazy time of year where it's holidays and between holidays where you don't even know what day it is.
Nope, what time it is, what day it is, and who you
Oh
are,
my
or
God.
anything.
How many times did you wake up and have to look like, I don't know, is it Thursday? Do I have the day off? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, not me, because I work all the way through it, so I don't have days off. So I always know what day it is, but yeah.
The life of a DJ. You need
Yeah,
to.
and my day job too. My day job does. I work all day too, yep. But yeah.
But folks, welcome back, and can I say Happy New Year? It is January 3rd, so I can say Happy New Year, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay. How long can you say Happy New Year to someone who you haven't seen before it's... No, I can't say it anymore.
12 o'clock today.
12 o'clock today.
That was arbitrary and oddly specific. Thank you, Ron.
So if I meet anybody at 1 o'clock, I have a meeting at 1 o'clock later on, I cannot say Happy New Year. I can just say Happy Saturday.
You can say whatever you want. It all depends on how it gets, whether they like it or not. I guess you can. Is there any?
I mean, okay.
Yeah. Is there any kind
it's
of like?
It's January 17th, and I haven't seen someone. Can I say Happy New Year?
Yes.
Oh,
sure.
So wait, you just switched from today to the 17th?
Yeah, that just shows you how much of a gray area it is.
There you go.
I can start doing it in June.
I don't want anybody to tell me, at June, Happy New Year.
But I haven't seen you all year. Come on.
Just say, I mean, Happy New Year is all relative anyway.
That's true.
It is. If it's a fiscal year, it could start in April. You never know.
I'm going to do that now. I'm going to walk up to people and go, Happy fiscal quarter.
That's right.
See how that works.
That's right. Why not?
But like I said, it's the Going On Daily live morning show, Saturday edition. You may notice something different. I'm here, Ira. I have my good friend, Lena Williams. But joining us today is Captain Ron Rodrigo. He's pinch hitting and doing great stuff.
I know that Kyle and JP are trying to talk it out to figure out what is wrong, why JP can't get in. It's that Montana connection, I guess. I don't know. I have no idea.
Listen, there's
14, they had to call in Kyle.
Feet of snow out there. Maybe they just their internet's not doing well.
That could be it.
So so I could be gone in a heartbeat, but I'm not that confident that they're gonna figure it out.
Okay.
And besides, you're always there anyway. I mean, we read your comments constantly, so
yeah, I'm always in there.
It's no big deal. So we just get to see your face.
Yeah.
Well, let's start it out the way we always start it out. Check out our socials. You can watch us live, which you're probably doing right now. But you want to tell people that they can watch us on YouTube, on Rumble, on Kick. And that's at Rhode Island Broadcasting. If you're a Twitch, if you're one of those streamers, it's Twitch at RI_broadcasting. For just audio, it's Spotify, Red Circle, or TuneIn, or my favorite, iHeartRadio.
Yay! Here.
Oh, he is. Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna do a quick switch. So,
okay, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll be in the comments.
Expecto Patronus. No. Hey!
Morning.
There you
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were placing bets on if the snow had taken out your internet, JP.
Not a lot of snow over the last couple weeks, but cold. It's supposed to warm up to the mid-20s though.
Mid-20. Oh my God. So anybody out there who's complaining, it's cold outside and it's like 40. Be quiet. You could be in
the mid-20s here too. Yeah. It's been like
Is
that
it?
for a couple days. Oh God, yeah. It's been.
Oh wow.
It's actually been 17 overnight, and then like 20s during the day. So, but it's winter.
I'm staying inside. So.
Yeah.
Okay, as I was saying before, if you listen to us on just audio, you You can go to Spotify, Red Circle, TuneIn, or iHeartRadio at RI Broadcasting, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at Broadcasting RI. We have social media. Go to TikTok, MeWe, Blue Sky, Parler, and even LinkedIn under RI Broadcasting. This show, the Going On Daily Live Morning Show, has its own Facebook page. Please give us likes on that. And it's at Going On Daily Morning Show. We have a Patreon, and that's where you get the merch. If you see our little logo there, it's very colorful. Going On Daily, you can put that on a mug, on a pen, on a magnet, whatever you want. Support the show that way. And this whole thing is bootstrapped together. We are on the Rhode Island Broadcasting Network. So you want to go to rhodeislandbroadcasting.net. And we all have, there are plenty of shows there. Lainey's going to have another show on there. I have another show on there. Everybody's going to like that. Go check it out. And also,
And I'm back.
oh my God, look. It's magic. As I was saying on the Rhode Island broadcast, I'm glad you're here, Ron, because you could tell us who won the Hall of Fame voting for female singers.
I knew
Or
I
not.
forgot. See, the new year has completely got me all mixed up, and I haven't done the thing yet. And I was like, I know I'm forgetting something. This is all day yesterday. I'm forgetting something. I know I'm forgetting something. And
So you have another week to vote.
so they have another day to vote for
Another day.
these.
Here it is. Madonna, Janet Jackson, Whitney Houston, Tina Turner, or Pat Benatar. It's a murderer's row. Who you can only vote for one. Who are you picking? Hey, look, we're back at 4. So check out all the shows and vote while you can, because tomorrow it may change to another vote. Meanwhile, okay, let's see what happens. It is Saturday, January 3rd. Here's what we want you to know. Starting off with Lena.
Okay. So, 2025 was not a good year for a lot of reasons. Like people's personal lives were a mess. The world is a mess. Society's a mess. And so not only do I like to go off with my dog and walk around in the woods and clear my head and watch my dog to try to like get into the moment of like just enjoying life, right? Without watching a whole lot of what's going on.
And grabbing big sticks.
What'd you say?
And grabbing big sticks.
Yes. Him and his big sticks. Yes. But I also like to kind of like look at, because of the fact of the way that whatever social media or the news or whatever happens, we don't see a lot of stuff. So a lot of stuff doesn't get any highlight, and a lot of positive stuff happens that like people just don't know about for whatever reason. So I decided to go find the top 15 of 2025 of positive things that happened in our life, in our world, and just to focus on something, right? So here we go. Are you ready? The world's largest forest reserve was created in the DR Congo. That's the first one.
Wow, awesome.
Isn't it like there's a whole lot of that going on. I guess it's a quiet thing, but there's a whole lot of stuff like that going on the back end that most people aren't aware of, in and out of the world, and anywhere in the world is better for us, right? Because as a whole, we've all got to live together, right? So this is protected. It's protected an area the size of France, which is really impressive. It safeguards the Congo Basin, right, the Earth's largest remaining tropical forest. It's one of the most significant conservation actions in modern history. So that's something that's noted, right? Most people, I don't know where this information is going, but a lot of people are not seeing this. I know I didn't know that.
I didn't hear it either. All we ever hear about is deforestation.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. And any deforestation, in my opinion, is wrong. And when I see stuff, even around here, if I see somebody knock down an entire bunch of woods or something, I just get really mad. It's like,
so do I.
We do not need any more like development. We just don't, So, the second one I have here is renewables overtake coal globally, right? Clean energy is becoming the world's largest electricity source for the first time. Renewables now supply 34.3% of global electricity. A historic dipping point. That light is coming from my dog trying to look out the window. A historic tipping point in how the planet is powered, which is it's enough to stop and significantly check ourselves on that. That's something that is a good thing. In the third one, Ethiopia is planting 70. This is a pretty cool story. I don't even know how they did this. Ethiopia plants 714.7 million trees in one day.
Wow.
Right? They shadowed the world record for tree planting. It's part of a national program that has now planted 40 plus billion trees.
Hallelujah.
And it's awesome. It's a powerful example of large scale climate action. So that's pretty cool. Global Ocean Treaty becomes the international law. I don't know if you know this, but something like less than 3% of the oceans are actually protected right now. So this Global Ocean Treaty allows the creation of marine protected areas in international waters. It aims to protect 30% of the world's oceans by 2030. And then from there, they're going to try to protect further areas, try to get somewhere around 50% at some point, but they are on target for 2030 with 30%. It ends decades of legal limbo for the high seas because I guess there's just it's kind of lawless out there where there's not really, and that's always good for us because the marine world is we're very dependent on that. Although a lot of people don't understand that. India doubles its tiger population. This was pretty cool.
Wow.
The tiger numbers surpassed 3,600 in just over a decade, right? Achieved through anti-poaching and community engagement. One of the greatest wildlife recovery stories ever recorded, right? So that's pretty cool. That would be number 5. Number 6, New Caledonia bans seabed mining for 50 years. It's protected in ocean region the size of Egypt. Safeguards pristine coral reefs and thousands of species, and prioritize long-term ocean health over short-term profits. That's major. So number 7 is breakthrough gene therapies that save lives. There's been a lot of medical stuff that's been going on in the past year that's pretty cool. Gene therapy restored hearing in deaf patients. That's pretty cool. Yeah, exactly. The reefs are the most important resource for marine life, and it's actually for weather and climate. The coral reefs are a big deal, and when we lose those, we get some nasty weather. And you can look at yeah. Sorry. Oh no, that's okay. What were you saying?
I was just going to say it's nice to hear some good news because we always hear, we're ruining this, we're ruining that, we're ruining the other.
Right.
And we have to make changes. It's about time. Right. Some of those changes are starting to take root.
So, and I think even in 2024, there's probably been a lot of this. We just, for some reason, nobody reports this stuff. Mm-hmm. Because it's not as much fun to report.
If it bleeds, it leads. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, there's been gene therapy that restores hearing in deaf patients. They're working on that, and they're going from somewhere where they're just hearing like louder noises in distance to they're actually starting to be able to hear people speaking and birds and things like that. So that's pretty cool. They're still working on that, but they had a breakthrough with that. A teen was cured of aggressive leukemia using base editing. Now that's base editing is a DNA process that they're working on.
Wow.
To actually change just the chemistry in the body to fight stuff like that. And so that's pretty cool. She has, I believe, in 3 years, not seen any symptoms or relapse or anything like that.
Wow, that's major.
It's pretty cool. The first ever successful treatment for Hurler syndrome. And I didn't get into it. I had a whole long thing, and I knew that once I knew that we were going to be 3 of us on and all the stuff we had, I condensed it. So what Hurler syndrome is not defined because I took it out. I didn't want to spend too much time with it.
But
what that is, and signals that this just signals a new era in genetic medicine. So genetic medicine is taking a sharp turn, and they're doing some really cool stuff to help people with things that we've been dealing with since the beginning of time, it seems like. And that's just really cool. OrganOx. This is if you look it up, this is a company that actually preserves, if you're going to get a transplant, it preserves internal organs as they're in transit. A lot of
Right.
internal organs are lost in transit because of the time frame, and this actually extends internal organ, whatever you want to call it. It keeps them fresh till they get to the patient, and it actually keeps a lot. Well, it does a lot better as far as people that are getting transplants. It keeps donated organs alive longer outside the body. It increased transplant success by 30%, which is pretty good.
Yeah, that's something you wouldn't think would be a problem. You think,
Yeah.
oh my God, we have an organ.
Yeah.
But if you have to get it to the person, and
Right.
if it's
I
quote
mean,
unquote spoils,
they do all kinds of stuff, from helicopter flights to so they
I had
go to
a
patients and
a
wherever
buddy of mine
donors.
was one of the helicopter pilots for the Dallas Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
yeah,
And so it's like it's technically a helicopter, but it looks like a sci-fi drone kind of deal. I mean,
Yeah. It's
to
pretty
get
Wow.
the organs back and forth.
Yeah. So this is a machine that it actually, you could hook it up to it actually runs blood through the organs and keeps them going as they're being transported. So it's pretty cool. Enabled over 6,000 transplants worldwide. So
awesome.
that's pretty cool. That's number 8. Number 9, all 50 U.S. states introduce right to repair laws. This is important for people who have complained that we can't fix anything anymore. We just have to throw stuff out and replace it. There have been laws against repairing certain things in certain states, or there have been. It's been a loosely adapted where people aren't sure. There may have been laws in place that could get you in trouble if you try to do that. So this gives consumers the right to fix their own devices. It reduces e-waste and it strengthens consumer rights, and it's a major grassroots policy victory. That's it's in all states have filed for it. I think over half of the states have passed the law, but all of them have filed for the law. So it's just a matter of when it all goes through for each state. But that's a big deal, and this makes manufacturers have to provide parts. It's good for warranty shops. It's good for repair shops. It's good for all kinds of stuff like that.
Nice.
Because that stuff's going by the wayside. I mean, most products have just been throwaway, even major products. So, 10, Paris turns streets into green urban spaces, which is pretty cool. 500 streets were voted to become pedestrianized green corridors in France. It creates a cooler, cleaner, more livable neighborhood. And it's a blueprint for climate resilient cities. So that's pretty cool. 500 streets in France is a lot.
I was thinking that's huge.
This is a very cool story. Number 11. I got to watch more about this because I thought this was so great. Underwater sound restoring coral reefs. I don't know if you've seen anything like this.
I have heard of it.
It's pretty cool. They just take these underground speakers and they go and they post them in these areas, and it actually brings in the little microscopic things that create coral reefs. It draws them in, and it boosts productivity, and it's very cool. It says healthy reef sounds boosted coral settlement by up to 700%. It's low cost, it's scalable, and it's a solution to reef loss, right? Offers hope for restoring damaged marine ecosystems, and we need that badly because it's a lot of erosion out there.
Yep.
And again, I was going to say earlier, if Katrina doesn't tell you how bad it can be without coral reefs, nothing will. Number 12, indigenous rights advance worldwide. So in Brazil, it's recognized lands for 27 indigenous groups. In Kenya, it's protected traditional seed sharing. And I don't know if you know anything about that, but there's an actual issue with people that are sharing seeds that are organic from their own farms. There were laws against that.
Mm-hmm.
So they removed those laws because why would you do? I don't know. Well, if you in the U.S. Monsanto, or not Monsanto, Bayer now, that's a company that will have a problem with you not using their products.
Right.
And if you give your seeds to something that's not GMO or that's not Bayer or Monsanto, you can actually be sued for that. There's a problem. That's why so many farmers it's a long story, but there's a bunch of farmers that got thrown off of their business because of that kind of thing. So anyway, that's a small kind of a related thing that was going on in Kenya. So that that was protected, so they can do that now. Native American tribes reclaimed ancestral land, which is pretty cool.
Good.
And a major year for land justice and cultural preservation overall. So that's number 12. Number 13, global deforestation rates have declined. We were talking about that earlier. The forest loss fell sharply compared to the 1990s. 1/5 of the world's forests are now legally protected. That's proof that conservation policies are working. So it's not where we want it to be, but it's way better than it was because I think it's come down a good 10% since the 90s. That's a big deal. Number 14, ocean cleanup removes plastic at a record pace. This is very cool.
Oh,
And we've seen stories about this where there are these machines that have just been placed out in the water to just pick up all these plastics and all this crap out of the ocean. They have averaged 3.2 tons of plastic removed per hour. That is crazy. Like I can't even
Jesus.
fathom what does that look like. And I saw videos of it where people are there's just a huge bunch of people. It goes through an assembly line and there's people standing there picking this and that and organizing it and sorting it. And a lot of it gets recycled. And
I was
used for
going to
other
ask, what do
stuff.
you do with it now?
Yeah. Oh, I believe a lot of it gets recycled. Some of it for like building materials and,
Nice.
you know, some stuff like that. And there's actually chemicals that they're making that are safe, that are used to break this stuff down.
Good.
So that it doesn't end up in our water and our food and all that kind of stuff. Like it's what's just happening right now. And we're on track towards removing 90% of floating ocean plastic by 2040. That's major. That's major. Like, think about that. 90%.
Absolutely.
It's turning ambition into measurable action, which is very cool. Number 15, Australia nears elimination of cervical cancer. This is not something I knew. They are
How
on
is
track
that
to eliminate the disease by 2035. What I saw was that they had home testing kits that they were sending out in Australia to
early
people
warning.
to early detect. And that's honestly between that and advocating better for people who, whether it be free screenings and things like that, somehow or other, they've not had any new cases. No cases are recorded in women under 25, period. There are no
Wow.
cases. And
That's
the home
impressive.
testing, expanded access and it saved lives. So that's crazy. I don't know if you have any free time today or over your weekend to just look at stuff like this, but that's something to look up because that's amazing. If they can get that done in Australia, then we can do it anywhere.
Right.
Right.
Well,
So
I'd seen a
that's
deal.
example.
I'd seen a deal where like I think it was Russia has I think they just started doing human trials with a cancer vaccine.
Yes, I have seen a couple.
Starts
of different,
attacking cancer cells when they try to form in your body, and it
Yep.
gets
Yes.
rid of the cancer before it becomes, cancer or whatever. And they're doing human trials. But I also seen a deal in Japan where they figured out. I'm not sure if they're quite human trials, but I think in the next 5 years they'd figured out a way to make your teeth regrow.
Yes.
Which will get rid of dentures, get rid of,
Oh, wow.
retainers, all that stuff.
With stem cells, I believe
Mhm.
that. But
Well,
that
they figured out how to reactivate the thing that makes your big teeth grow when you're,
yeah,
a child.
that stuff. Is
But also, there's some people in Canada that were able to do it with like sound waves, having sound waves on both sides of somebody's jaw.
yes. And this,
Where do I go? Wait a minute. What's going on here? I want reverse aging. Let's go.
I know it. So, but what I read today is like this much of what actually I had, right? Because we didn't have enough
Right.
time. So if you get a chance to just go Google like what happened that was good in 2025. There's so many things. I saw something where they were putting out fires with sound waves.
Mhm.
Like just not
Oh,
using
really?
water anymore. They could eliminate fire from beginning or put out fire from 10 feet away or something like that with like a specific frequency of sound wave. Like how cool is that? Like so. And I just wanted to say, if you're going through your feed and you're seeing, and I did see one thing for this, and I thought it was nuts, but it's probably accurate. Home screening test for cancer. I don't know where I saw it, but I did see it come through my feed as a product. Like, hey, I don't know if it's something that you want to buy, but it's just kind of cool that it may very well be related to the same kind of medical practice where you can because the whole thing that's going on with Othram and how they can take such a tiny little bit of your DNA now, and they
God.
can project it out to so many different things, is going to
Mhm.
affect the opposite side of it too, where you're going to be able to go and get tested for something with such a little bit of blood or whatever, and it'll be able to tell you, it'll give you markers, genetic markers for stuff or things that are going to happen that you may be able to prevent. And cancer is one of those things that
Right.
if they can get it early enough in your cells, in your chemistry, they may be able to prevent it from going anywhere, or you may be able to do something before it starts. So
Yeah. Well,
We are going to cure the world.
I got a friend that I think she finished chemo like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But you had to do it like, you know, all the normal cancer stuff. And then we'll see what, you know, she did the test and stuff, and everything.
How many of us
good.
have relatives that have not made it from cancer, or that have gone through 3 and 4 instances of some type of cancer?
I've always been kind of curious. I've always wondered that, because nobody in my family that I have ever remember has ever had cancer. Wow. And so, but I know families where a lot of the family members have gotten cancer. And so I've always wondered if it was sort of if there was a certain genetic kind of deal to an extent.
It also can be
my mother was a 3-time cancer survivor.
Wow.
And knock wood, whatever I have around, nobody else in the family had, you know, any of it.
Yeah. I mean,
of course we have Becky with us. Yep. Yes, Becky's part of our family.
Danny. And so my mom had breast cancer, and she had cancer twice. The second time she had cancer, it was terminal, and they could manage it, but it was never going to be cured. And she went through a period of time with whatever medication she was on, where she just didn't want to deal with it anymore, because she couldn't eat, she couldn't walk. It was just like, so she knew when she stopped the medication, it was going to speed up.
Right.
However, because we both went to the same hospital, they were able to test my DNA against hers when I had some kind of abnormal pathology at some point, where they thought, oh, this is not good. They're very, very aggressive with me because of her.
Right.
And they were able to take the pathology and match it up, or look at both of those things and say, okay, this is not genetic. Whatever it is that she had is not something that she passed to you.
Mm-hmm.
And also, whatever they found in me wasn't nothing. They took it out and it was fine. Nothing ever happened. But they're, you know, if I'm gonna get that, they're gonna catch it before I do, because that's how aggressive they are with me.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting, because there's so many factors. There's diet, there's lifestyle choices, there's environment, and then there is genetic stuff that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so crazy. It's so, I don't know. It seems like such a crapshoot right now, but it'd be nice if they could get it down to some kind of understandable something or other medically. That would be great.
So those are wonderful things.
Yeah.
If you're looking for something, well, last year, you know, was terrible. There are signs to show that things are on the improvement, right?
Yep. There's always good stuff happening. You just have to go looking for it.
Yeah,
well, even on a small scale, I mean, you can always find positive things in your own small pocket of community. Yep. I mean,
you can. And
you can be that thing too. I mean, you can volunteer at soup kitchens and homeless shelters and women's shelters and
I think more people
make your area nicer, better, happier, you know.
Yeah, I think you should. There's a couple of people that I am, you know, linked in with on Facebook that are, whether they're providing food and clothing for domestic violence survivors, or making sure that people that are veterans that are out there that are eating on holidays, and making sure that, you know, whatever, people have toiletries and things like that. Like, that kind of stuff is stuff you can do. And I think personally, if you don't do that at least once in your life, like, I think you're gonna, your perspective will be off. Like, you have to understand that there's people right now that don't know where they're going to live, don't know if they're going to eat.
Right.
That's always something to stay on top of, as far as understanding where you're at. So,
and you can always Google, you know, any place to volunteer.
Yeah.
There are so many worthwhile organizations that could use your help. You wouldn't even know that, you know, oh, could you deliver this to this family? Could you pick up, could you just, like you said, soup kitchens, there are so many things that you can do.
This is what
to
I like.
help, so
I haven't done it.
be the
recently,
change.
but
Mhm.
also on holidays, there's people that are just all they do is volunteer, and all they do is
Right.
make sure they help people. So there are times of year where they maybe want to be with their families, and it would be good to step in on animal shelter, people that run animal shelters, people that run homeless shelters. Just something, let somebody go home and be with their family for 5 minutes, because a lot of those people don't see their own families. They don't spend a
Right.
lot of time.
Exactly.
They're on call a lot, so that's also something you could do. You could relieve somebody else once or twice here or there that's doing stuff for the community.
So now I feel a little bad myself right
Okay.
now.
Why is that?
Because, we're switching over, and we were just talking about all the good in the world, and now I have a ridiculous story. So
Balance.
there we go. Everybody needs to laugh at themselves. Well, for 2025, I saw a list of people who, just went for it. They are world record holders. They are listed in Guinness World Records. Things that nobody ever thought anybody would ever want to be a record holder of.
Okay.
So I have here the oddest world records for last year. So let's see if you would like to try to break any of these.
Okay.
There's a woman named Gabrielle Wall. She's a mother of two. She practiced walking barefoot on Legos, because that is actually a world record.
Okay.
And she ran across 661 pounds of Lego bricks over 100 meters of
God.
track in 24.75 seconds. Now, if you've ever stepped on just one brick,
I know. I'm just thinking. I've stepped on one, and I don't like that. I can't imagine. I just can't imagine.
2 months of training for this woman to do this, but she set the record now. Here's one for us that we've all done. Has anybody ever played the game Hungry Hungry Hippos?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, you played it as a kid. Well, David Rush teamed up with his son Peter to play the fastest game of Hungry Hungry Hippos in the Guinness Book of World Records under 5.8 seconds.
Okay. All right.
I wonder why.
Right.
I've never sat there and went, I bet that's the fastest game ever played. I'm going to submit it to the Guinness.
Honestly, I
Guinness
think
people.
these people, first of all, have to be reading Guinness to begin with and know what it is that they're trying to, like. I don't think that they have categories that they're coming up with that Guinness is adding. I think Guinness has these categories, and these people must be saying, how can I get in here? What's the thing I can do? I would imagine.
Well, the Guinness people have to be there and watch it too.
Yeah.
Yep. You have to fly somebody out to actually watch somebody. Okay, that was 5.8 seconds. It took me 6 hours to get over here, but
I know.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they make, I don't know, they sell a lot of those books, so maybe they have enough money to be flying around like that, I guess.
I haven't even seen one of those books.
Yeah, but then you got to think about all the other stuff, like we were just talking about with the environment and wasted energy, and you're flying in a jet to go watch two people play Hungry Hungry Hippos for 5 seconds.
5.8
Cool.
seconds.
You know what I mean? Like those are the things that always get me when everybody's yelling at contractors and everybody else for building your house made out of wood. And it's like, you realize that Taylor Swift flew from one side of a city to another side of a city to get on a different airplane to drive to fly all halfway across the world to watch a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
but
God.
I'm the problem. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe you could be like Brian Cade. He was inspired to combine his love of classic cars and building, and he built himself a shed. Okay, he built a shed. Well, the shed has a motor, and now he has the record-breaking speed. His shed goes 123 miles per hour, and it is the fastest shed in the world. I again
very weird.
Implore you, what is he doing with his life?
I don't know. I can't.
Okay, at least he has some building skills.
Yeah.
If you don't have any skills whatsoever, You could be like, let's see, Martin Strobe. His kids told him, "Come on, Dad, you could set a record." So he looked it up and said, "I can do this." And now he holds the record for 81 matchsticks in his nose at the same time.
Okay. I don't know. I'm at a loss, but this is fun to listen to, though.
Yeah.
And again, what I'm thinking is somebody had to fly out and verify it.
Right.
This one I would like to
I would think
see.
some of those, though, the people probably have to fly to the Guinness building.
I hope so.
Why aren't they doing Zoom meetings? They've got to be doing video at this point. Like,
Yeah, maybe they might be able to.
Should be eliminated.
I don't know.
stuff
Maybe
like that.
I don't know. Maybe you have to verify it because there could be some sort of video hanky panky. You know.
I don't. Yeah,
we made it
if
look
it's live
like it
and you're
was.
talking to somebody and like they.
I mean, I don't think there's a prize or anything. It's not like you're talking about you get $100,000 if you break a record. You know what I mean? So I mean, some of these ones like sticking matchsticks in your nose and stuff like that. I can't imagine the people even really pay that much attention or care. They just wait till you get done and say, "Okay."
Yeah.
Would you put that on your tombstone? It's like, you know, husband, wife, father, whatever, and
I'm going to tell you
Guinness record for most matchsticks up your nose.
There are people out there that will put anything on it. They will do anything to get attention. They really will. And this is not that odd for somebody that really wants to be somewhere as a legacy.
Well, the next one I actually would have liked to have seen. A gentleman has a pig named Norbert. He has a nickname of Tony Pork because he is a skateboarding pig, and he set a record, self-propelled. Nobody touched him. He knows how to get on the board, and he went 32.8 feet in 11 seconds, so he has the record for distance and speed for a skateboarding pig. That I would have liked to have seen.
I've seen dogs do it. I've seen dogs on those.
I've seen that too.
Dogs on those little.
I've seen them surf.
I've seen him surf and I've seen him skateboard and I've seen him on those little. What are they like? Little Segway things with the little. Things that they can like lean and it'll move. Yeah, I've seen that, but I've never seen a pig do that. That's pretty cool.
You see the wind blowing.
A lot of times, them. So like they got those little potbelly pigs that people, you know, they're more domesticated. People have in their houses and stuff like that. I've always seen people put a skateboard underneath them,
but then
sort
they
of
push.
like a turtle on a kid's or on a toy skateboard moving around your house, because at some point their belly will start dragging, and so then they're always ripping their belly or you know, rubbing it raw, and so then you put them on a skateboard and they can still, and it's just like anybody else laying on a skateboard and using their hand. It's kind of like, I guess like a surfer out in the water, basically, and then that's just how they move around.
You reminded me that there is a video channel that has a turtle and a cat, and the turtle has a little skateboard under him and goes around the house and torches this cat, and it's hilarious.
Trying to feed Shelly, push him in.
No, he just gets on it. They put him on it, and he paddles all over the house. And it's if you ever want to just laugh at something, the cat's always banging into the cat.
Beeline into the cat too.
Yeah, it's so good. And the cat's used to it when he's annoyed, you know. But it's so funny. So yeah,
I think I know what I'm doing later on today.
Yes, that's what you should do later on today.
Well, I could also be Anya Bonish. She loves golf, and she saw a man set a record for putting things in his beard. So she decided to set the record for putting 711, that number again, 711 golf tees in her hair, which I couldn't do any, but hey, she's in the world record. Then there is Ryan Looney, and I believe his name is aptly correct, Looney. He not only set the record for most backflips in 30 seconds. He set the record for most backflips in 30 seconds while being on fire.
Okay.
He was wearing protective clothing at least, but yeah, I wonder if that puts the fire out. You know, at least I'm trying to put the fire out.
I don't know, but that's an interesting thing to go check out at some point. That's, yeah.
Ooh, I'm on fire. Yes, thanks, Ron. And now I don't know how you even discover this, but there is a man named Balfalza Motari. He said he has been sticking items to his body since he was a child. How do you discover this?
I don't know. I don't know. There's a
Way
whole
too
world
much
out
time.
there that I guess I'm not paying attention to.
Well, yes, you're paying attention to the real issues, and I get this. So it is a balance.
Yeah.
So he now has the record for putting 96 spoons onto his body.
Okay.
I'm with JP. I would have walked out for that one. I wouldn't have been there.
Like, do we know how? Is it just like he's balancing them, or is he's actually gluing them to himself, or like what?
I don't know. I think it's just like, did you ever do when you were a kid? You like,
that's what I'm asking.
you breathe on them, put it on
is
your
it
nose.
balancing them, or like is it actually they're actually sticking like to him with some kind of tape or glue, or is it? I don't know.
I don't know. I want to go back to the pig now.
Yes.
Hi, Kim. Thank you. Happy New Year. Thank you.
I know.
Where could it go from here?
Where could it go from here? Yes.
See, somebody liked the skateboarding thing.
Yep.
So
we all did. You all did.
And here for the last one that I have is William Martin Sanchez Lopez. That's a nice long name.
Mm-hmm.
He has an unusual talent for relaxing the muscles around his eyes. So now he has the record. This used to be a party trick for him, but he decided to check with Guinness. He has the record for the person who can pop his eyes out of his sockets the farthest at 0.74 inches. So congratulations and eye-popping feat for him.
That's gross.
Have you ever seen those people?
I have not. I don't want to. Eyes.
There used to be a woman who used to do it on David Letterman.
Yeah,
and he would bring her out. And she was just like, it was the scariest thing I've ever seen. But these people now, for 2025, congratulations. You're in the Guinness World Record book.
All right.
And now, JP, please bring us back to culture. Ron already put it up. We're done with the ridiculousness. 3 books JP recommends to set the tone for the new year. Let's go.
I love that book right there. That's the best.
Well, I mean, there's three books that I cheat. I listen to them on Audible, but same difference.
Doesn't matter.
It's a book.
I listen to each one of these books probably once every 6 months or something, just because it just helps you. It helps me recenter, I guess. The first book that probably made the biggest difference in my life was The Body Keeps the Score.
Yes.
By psychiatrist Dr. Bressel van der Kolk.
Yep.
About trauma, how it lives in the body, not just the mind. It's a 24-hour audiobook. It's textbook size.
It's good though. It's really good.
It is. I mean, it's got a lot of techniques and a lot of ways to deal with trauma and, move on and get over stuff that aren't Prozac and antidepressants and all of these other things, because obviously if there's no money in it, there's no research for it. And so the things that work best for getting through trauma or the victim mentality or the Debbie
PTSD,
Downer syndromes or all of those things, the best ways to sort of deal with them are things that don't make money. So the research is limited, but the yoga, the meditating, the breath work,
I am a big proponent of breath work. Yes.
Some, neurofeedback stuff.
Like
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the book. They found that they were having a lot of success with like the troubled kids in Massachusetts in the detention centers doing theater.
Right.
Was making a big because they were pretending to be somebody else, but going through heavy emotions and then learning through the plays that they were doing how to process emotions other than the way that they normally would by lashing out and that kind of stuff. And so if you need to change the way that you're thinking and change the way your approach on life and change the way you're viewing everything day in and day out. It's a book that I would recommend. I know that a lot of psychology students get it as a required read in college. And then the Headspace Guide to Mindfulness and Meditation, which Andy Petticum wrote the book, and so he was English, took off when he was like 20 in college to go be a Buddhist monk, and bounced all over the place as a layperson, then a monk, then went back to the normal life, started the Headspace Clinic, and then there's an app that does guided meditations, and it does sleep casts and all of these other things. But I found it really helpful to be more present and do these things, because meditation is a part of mindfulness, but everything else kind of gets left out. And so it's hard to practice mindfulness when you're only doing one of the three aspects of mindfulness. And then some of his stories, the way that the monks helped him get through the emotional stuff that he was having hiccups on, and the mental blocks and all of these other things. And there's some really interesting stories, but walking meditation, eating meditation, all of these different things, and kind of helps you just sort of.
Wait, there is an eating meditation?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I never heard. Okay, I'm going to write that one down.
And I mean, but it's a guide.
Yeah.
And it kind of helps set everything up, and, the intentions to have and all these different things. I mean, you can even get to the point, I can tell, if I focus before I fall asleep, I can remember if I wake up on an in breath or out breath.
Oh, wow.
But it takes time. But the app and the guided meditations and the sleep casts and a lot of those things do a lot of beneficial things. And once you can sort of let go of your past and be in the moment, you still have to deal and talk with people nonstop. So the book that's on the deal right there, Never Split the Difference, was written by the Chris Voss, a former FBI hostage negotiator, explains that people don't make decisions based on facts first.
They sure don't.
He was the lead international hostage negotiator for the FBI for a long time. Now he runs a consulting company.
Yeah, he's got master classes and all that. I was talking about him earlier.
And he started. The book goes through a lot of these different situations through his journey of becoming a negotiator, because he started as a St. Louis beat cop, and then was an anti-terrorism task force in New York that stopped a terrorist deal, and then became a negotiator, and then did that for a long time. And some of the negotiations that he was a part of were, big deals, because they just were all over the world.
If he hadn't have done it, we'd have seen some nasty stuff happening for sure.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And then, but it breaks down having to, if you can get the best outcome when you're talking about people's lives in erratic situations, especially with, South American terrorists or Middle Eastern terrorists and all of these different things that have kidnapped people, it definitely helps you navigate, negotiating bedtime with your daughter. And but it's, the identifying different personality types and how to approach them, and who you're really talking to and who's the decision maker and stuff like that. But it's also a super interesting book. I mean, some of the stories in the book, where they had sort of made leaps and bounds with the negotiating tactics over, complete coincidence. When a drug dealer calls the FBI because a different drug dealer kidnapped his girlfriend, and then they get the biggest breakthrough of negotiating, because up until that point, they always did the give and take. So you give me something,
Right.
I give you something. And then they figured out how to get proof of life from this guy when he called the other drug dealer and was freaking out. And so, I mean, there's some interesting stories. There's an interesting bank
That's a great
robbery
story.
story.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. He's actually got like these videos where you sit down with him and he's like, okay, if I can find out anything I want from you, and then at the end of it, I'm going to ask you what you know about me, which is absolutely nothing. And
Right.
again, the mirroring techniques and the auditing techniques and things like that are pretty cool in the sense that when somebody comes to you to talk to you, you're determining what it is that they're, because nobody in this country talks directly, which I hate.
Right.
I can't stand it. So you can't get anything on anybody about what they're looking for from you. So you have to go through this whole nonsense of how they're approaching you, what they're saying. But the one thing I learned that there's a bunch of stuff I learned from Chris Voss. But the most important thing I learned is that if you're arguing with somebody, it should not be you against them. It should be you and them against the problem. And if you can
Right.
turn to the side and look at the problem as over there, and you're both standing with the person that you're trying to negotiate with, and we're both looking at the problem in that direction, it makes you both a team to try to negotiate or solve whatever the problem is that you're getting, whether it be a raise on your job or whether it be some kind of business deal that you're negotiating or whatever.
I learned that in my marriage.
That's as far as I'm concerned, marriages are technically contracts. That's not, I don't believe.
Oh, yeah.
So you both are trying to get something accomplished. Like, we both want this thing to happen. You think I should do it this way. I think you should do it that way. So let's figure out how we both get what we want and we get that thing to happen. A lot of people don't do that. They're mostly
No, it's
looking
usually
to-
you, like you said, it should be the two against the problem,
right.
but it's
Like,
usually
well,
one against one.
But also, if you make the problem the enemy, like, it actually changes the perception of the person that you're negotiating with, so that they're not defensive.
Yeah, Ron said it right. I'm not the problem. You are. That's
Exactly.
not
Well,
how you handle it.
That and most
No.
people don't listen.
No.
Yes.
They
So
don't
while
listen
you're
to listen.
talking, they're thinking about their response
Right.
instead
There
of
you go.
listening. And so slowing the conversation down,
Mhm.
and some of it's quick ways, the mirroring, the tactical empathy, and some of the other things in the book is to form connections quickly so that you're
There's
not
an air of
just,
familiarity,
it's not
yeah.
you're not always down to brass tacks when you're dealing with everybody, but also it kind of, he goes through the different personality types and how to approach each one.
Mhm.
And it's not, it's not made to be,
Manipulative.
you're right. I mean, you could probably twist it if you wanted to, but it's not really designed that way. But he goes through a lot of different things where people are,
Mhm.
dig their heels in, and then you gotta,
Yeah.
but also there's some other like choice ways to get, say if you're working on a business deal of some sort and the communications have all kind of fallen apart and they don't respond that much. And then if you kind of, the fear of missing out will drive people to not want to, miss out, and then, so that's why, some of the tactics that you see in everyday life make a lot more sense once you get through the book, because you're talking about, the big sale. Oh, the sale only lasts 3 days. So the fear of missing out triggers everybody to, come show up and buy or go to this sale or, and a bunch of stuff like that. But if everybody, his New Year's resolution is to be a little bit happier and be a little bit more present and be able to communicate better, like these would be the top 3 books that I would tell you to read, because
Nice.
everything sort of seems chaotic all the time, and it's nice to slow down, and it's nice to be able to have conversations with people that don't turn into instant arguments because I'm right, you're wrong, because
Also,
nobody's really right and nobody's really wrong usually on anything.
There's
There
always
are
that.
opinions.
Are you connecting? Are you interacting to that? This is my own personal issue that I deal with all the time. Are you interacting to connect? Or are you interacting to inform? And
Right.
I don't talk to people to connect technically, not most of the time. And so when people come to me with that, hey, it's talking to me about the weather, and I'm always like, this is this is really stupid. I don't really care. One, we've had the same weather for 30 years. We live in the same area. And two, what difference does it make? Whatever. But like
Right.
there are people that are trying to actually bond by talking about nonsense.
Mhm.
And so you do have to kind of
Small talk.
understand.
Yeah.
Exactly. Small talk drives me insane. And that's fine. I get it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that's the way I approach ththings. And so,
Yeah.
me being direct, there are people who take me as hostile, and it's not the way I am. I just don't sugarcoat everything. So yeah, there's all these different types of people, and it's good to kind of understand who you're talking to, and
Right.
how not to walk through the minefield. Yeah,
How's the weather where you are, Lee?
it's the same as where you are. That's my answer.
We're inside. You're fine.
Right.
So as we vacillate between 2025 and 2026, Lena, I believe you're going to be talking about some of the best documentaries of 2025.
I am a documentary crazy person.
Let's get some new ones. Let's go.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is not the best documentaries everybody is watching. These are the best documentaries that I watched. Obviously, I cannot. No matter who you talk to, you're going to get different information. And I can tell by Ron's picture that he's bringing up a documentary I haven't even seen yet. So there we go.
Yeah, there's one on Ozzy.
Yeah, I have not seen the Ozzy Osbourne yet.
I haven't either.
And there's so many that there's also an Olivia Newton-John floating around that I need to see, and I haven't seen that either. I follow a chick on Facebook called the Documentary Chick, is literally her name, and so she'll pull stuff off of YouTube, Tubi, all kinds of different places, and so I try to keep up with them. But when I went through the list of what I watched this past year, this is insanity. Like this stuff, I can't even believe how many documentaries I watch in general. This just made me think about what the heck are you doing. But anyway. So I'm just going to go down the list.
You're informing yourself and entertaining.
I am, but like I'm a junkie. I'm clearly a junkie based on this list. So most of these are going to be Netflix just because most people have Netflix. But my thing is, I'm always like, all right, I got to get rid of Netflix, and then like they'll put some premiere on, and I'll be like, well, all right, after I see that, I got to get rid of it. After I see that, I got to get rid of it. Like these jerks totally reel me in with this stuff. So. I'm a sucker, but let's start with the beginning. In January for Netflix, we had Jerry Springer Fights Camera Action. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's basically the history of Jerry Springer, how he was a newscaster, the history of where he came from and how he ended up on the Jerry Springer show. And then they bring in all of these producers and people that worked on his show and how they would go and find people and how they would vet people. And then at some point, everything was great. At some point, they decided to flip the script and just make it kind of trash, like for ratings. And just what those people went through, they bring up some of the worst guests on there that I've. To be honest with you, I didn't watch a lot of it. Once it gets reality TV-ish for me, I can't watch it anymore. And so I did like it at first when it was like this guy and like Maury Povich was on, and I think there were
Ricky
Lake, and what's her name that had the guy that killed the guy and they took her off the
Jenny Jones.
So those I watched a lot of those just because those were interesting. Even Oprah in the beginning was kind of doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, once it got to be like where they just were looking for where it looked like it was just like watching wrestling, I stopped because I can't.
Right.
But anyway,
and then his head security guy got his own show when Jerry Springer went back to being a judge or whatever he was, a congressperson or whatever.
It's Jerry.
So it's I don't know, like I just never. Anyway, it's very cool though to see all the people that worked on the show and that worked with him and that backstage, what they dealt with and that kind of stuff. I love that kind of thing, the behind the scenes stuff. So that was cool. At the end of January, you got American Manhunt, which is O.J. Simpson's story.
Yes.
And I actually, as much as I always say this with documentaries, there's always like the thing that's going on. Obviously, we were all alive and watching it when it happened.
Yes.
But for some reason, when it's happening in real time, you don't catch the whole story or it's in bits and pieces. So like you kind of see a news report of this. We all watched the Bronco and then the whole thing with that. And then with everything else going on in 1994, like it just somehow when they tie the whole thing together and show you 2 hours of it all at once, it's just, oh, I didn't catch this, or I forgot about this, or so the craziness of O.J. Simpson, and I think did he pass away this past year?
Mhm.
Yeah, I know he
I
passed
remember-
away. I think it's 2 years now, isn't it?
2 years. Okay, so he must have just passed away, but it was like very coincidental with his death, where I was like, wow, because they got into some of that later stuff with the Vegas hotel and all that other thing that he went through. Yeah, it's
2024.
So
Yeah. Now 2 years ago.
I think he passed, and then this documentary came out kind of in the aftermath of that, but it wasn't very far apart. In March, you got Chaos, the Manson murders. That's always something to revisit, right? In the sense that the more time goes by, the more information we have, the more records are unsealed, things like that. And in this one, they got into MK Ultra, and if you're not interested, if you've no idea what MK Ultra is, go look it up. But MK Ultra was like a psychological program that was going on in Haight-Ashbury. That there was a literal, it was an experimental thing that went on, I think, at the time, where they were taking people that were in therapy or that had parole officers and needed to do some type of psychology, and they were performing experiments on these people. And that Manson was one of those people, and that the doctor that this guy was, I believe, CIA related and some other stuff, but the guy that he went to and saw for a while before all those murders was the same guy. So that was fascinating. I just ruined the whole thing for you if you haven't seen it, but there's way more to it than that, as far as mind control, and that they're believing that Manson picked up on some of these techniques with the family and what went on at Spawn Ranch and everything like that. So it's a crazy story when you look back on it, and it does get a lot of, like, there are a lot of people that kind of are obsessed with the story for dark reasons or whatever, but just like to watch the whole thing again, it's always good to not forget stuff like that. The next one in March was Gone Girls, the Long Island serial killer. Now that was amazing because Othram is coming out, and I've mentioned Othram on here before.
That was a big thing, yeah.
We are going to see every crime solved. In the next 10 years, everything that we never had any answers to is going to get solved, because Othram is kicking ass with DNA testing. It's amazing. And somehow or other, there are a bunch of stuff that went down in Long Island with these girls, but the whole thing that happened between DNA and finding out who this guy was, they nabbed him. And there's a serial killer documentary about him where they got down to who it was. This dude was just like, I think there's also it's so funny because the Google car went by and picked this guy up, and that was part of it. And I watched so many videos about Google cars going by and picking up on people that were committing crimes that didn't know that the Google car was there. It's hilarious. And this guy was picked up on. He was talking to one of the victims, they think, on like a New York City street, and the Google car went by and picked him up. Anyway, it's really good to watch.
I think there should be a documentary on the Google car picking up.
Well, there are YouTube documentaries about it where they just go through the whole thing for 20 or 30 minutes of like 7 or 8 different stories of how a Google car solved the crime that they were trying to figure out, and it's pretty cool. Anyway, if you get a chance to watch that, if you're into stuff like that, which I am, that's a good one. Then in April there was Bad Influence, the dark side of kinfluencing. Now it's basically about, and there's so many of them, right? And if you look up the Turpin children, you'll see what I'm saying. There's all these families of YouTube kids where the parents just or the people involved just go off the deep end and just don't parent anymore, and just they're looking for the money. Right. And they start treating children like crap in order to get what they want. And this just did not go well. And the poor girl that was the daughter of this woman, I don't know, they're worrying about her still. But basically, it just shows you like how can this all go wrong when a parent is starting to make money off of the social media of filming children, right? So it's interesting to see. April 18th was Oklahoma City bombing, the whole thing about Timothy McVeigh, which was pretty much, it was an anniversary because I think they did Waco last year. And Waco is 2 years before the Oklahoma bombing, and they're both related and all that. But if you know anything about Timothy McVeigh, one of my favorite stories about Timothy McVeigh was the idiot got pulled over on a traffic stop. I just can't get over that to this day. That just if he had not been pulled over, like randomly
away.
like that, and the only other, so just there are some stupid people out there that just get pulled over, or just something happens where they draw attention to themselves, and you're like, wow, who
Wasn't
would
that
have
how
thought?
Ted Bundy got caught too?
I don't know about Ted.
The traffic
Yeah.
stop?
No, yes, Ted Bundy got caught once because Ted Bundy escaped twice,
Right.
and the first time
Well, he had I think he had a girl in the trunk, and he got pulled over.
No,
Was that not him?
Don't get me started. I know all these.
Oh.
So
Uh-oh.
Ted Bundy got pulled over.
Tune in next week.
Yeah, Ted Bundy escaped out of Colorado, out of the courthouse, and he got picked up. He just tried to go through a traffic stop and got picked up for erratically driving because he saw the cops and he started driving weird because he was worried.
Right.
And they pulled him over, and he was in that. I don't know if he was in the Volkswagen Bug at that time or what it was, but he also escaped the jail through like a light fixture. He dropped. He lost a bunch of weight, and he scaled to the light fixture to that middle floor and got out. He was pretty crafty.
Evil genius.
The guy that got pulled over was Dahmer.
Oh.
And
Dahmer got pulled over.
And he
Okay.
had, I believe, a trash bag in the back seat of his car, and they just never, or his trunk, and they just never checked the car. But he had a body.
What's in the car? Nothing. Okay.
Right. So, yeah. Anyway, so that's the Timothy McVeigh story is interesting just because the pictures of the Mora building are just amazing. Like when you look back at that, again, that's one of those stories that was going on as we were all living our lives.
Mhm.
And to go back and see the whole story concentrated into one thing without all the other stuff going on around it was a very powerful, crazy story when you think about it. And his attitude of, hey, you wanted to kill everybody at Waco, so here's what. And the ATF building was in there, and I believe the FBI building, or he was going after the government, but he didn't have much of a regard for the daycare that was on the first floor, and that was bad. But he was willing to die for it.
Collateral damage. Yeah.
In May, they had the cold case, the Tylenol murders. That's funny because I remember being a kid and having that whole Tylenol thing that went down. And I never knew the story of it because I was young enough that I didn't know what started it. I just knew it was about protective packaging, and they were worrying about some people that died from Tylenol that were bad. But like, I didn't know a lot of the investigators behind that. Like, they give you the whole story of like how it actually started, what specific stores were involved, what specific lab was involved, what specific brand of Tylenol they were looking at, all that kind of stuff, which was pretty interesting because I didn't know all that. May 14th was Fred and Rose West, A British Horror Story. That's really gross. If you get a chance to see that,
I don't know that one.
Fred and Rose West were a married couple in Britain that were just killing children and burying them in their backyard. And they ended up finding like way more than they bargained for when they started digging. It was like he was a terrible person and he was a predator, and she was sort of like protecting him as his wife. And for a very long time, she was going down with him. Like, he was her kind of her front. I mean, and she was aware of it all, and she stayed with him. It was anyway, it was a good story. As far as I did not know, I never heard of the story, and it was very interesting. It was a huge story, but I just missed it. So it was good to watch, or not fun to watch, but interesting.
Yeah, I don't want to put that on.
It's never
here.
fun what happens to these people. It's just very, very riveting when you watch it. The other last one in May was American Murder, Gabby Petito. Now that's something that I was in. I listened to a couple of podcasts, crime podcasts.
Yeah.
And she was a podcast listener. She listened to the same podcast I did. And so at the end of one of the podcasts that I was listening to, they called out to her because she had gone missing at that time. And they were like, she's a fan of this. I believe it was Morbid, that those girls that were aware of Gabby because she used to write to them or whatever. And she used to listen to their podcast. And at the end of one of them, they were like, this is somebody that listens to our podcast that's a fan of ours, and she's missing, and does anybody know anything? And it just went. I had no idea where that was going, and that was completely horrible. But so this was the whole story with some of the additional footage of the cops that pulled her over in Utah. in that area, and like just all of the clear signs that she was in trouble. And in Moab, I guess they just, for whatever reason, he just did a disappearing act. There he goes. I just missed. There you are. You're back. I don't know. You just went. It looked like you just went. It looked like you like magic trick, like you disappeared. I think it's just the video behind you. Anyway. So there was that. There's Grenfell Uncovered. I don't know if you've seen anything about Grenfell in England, but in 2018, there's a high-rise building that burned. That was something like 35 stories high.
Oh, really?
And it had to do with some really nasty materials that were being used that were below grade, and they were well aware of it. And it was cladding on the building. But a large amount of people died in that fire. They couldn't get them out of there because of the structure of the building, the way that the building was. They couldn't get any people up there to rescue. So there's this. It's just a huge story about cutting corners and safety and things that whatever this cladding was made of. The rating for this thing was like was 1 or something crazy thing, and they used it anyway because they didn't want to spend the money on something more. And I believe the cladding that they used was like not even necessary. It was like completely cosmetic. It had nothing to do with the building, and it was the thing that killed everybody. So there's that. And then Trainwreck. This is a funny one, kind of, but not really. I guess it wouldn't be funny if you were there. But Trainwreck is a series called Trainwreck, and it's all different things. They did the 99 Woodstock for one video and some other stuff like that. So they had one called Poop Cruise on 24th of June, and it was literally about people that were stuck on a cruise ship that everything shut down. The lights shut down, the electricity shut down, and then the toilet shut down.
Right.
And how they all had to. It just became this shit boat that went on until they got rescued. And how
everybody gets a bucket.
Yeah, it was interesting. Speaking of music, Becoming Led Zeppelin, I believe came out in June. Becoming Led Zeppelin is a very good documentary. What it does is anybody that's a Led Zeppelin fan knows all there is to know about them. But this kind of starts them off where they were kids and they were learning to play, and they kind of found each other and created a band. And up until their very first, I believe, concert where they became famous, it was all about that climb up and the different venues they played and all that kind of stuff. That they were both married. Most of it, well, yeah, some of it is Jimmy Page. Some of it basically they get into, what their wives thought was going to happen, and just like that whole story about.
Right.
It's very cool, and it's so amazing to know what Led Zeppelin, what a lot of their music came from, what their, as much as their rock and roll, they were a very bluesy band, and they followed a lot of blues artists, and they changed their music around. But I don't know, I love Led Zeppelin a lot. I know a lot of people don't really care, but I love them. And then in August they had a one called Fit for TV. It's the Biggest Loser documentary. I don't know if you've seen that.
I did see that, yeah.
And I used to watch The Biggest Loser, and I don't know. I used to say I'm not too a fan of Jillian Michaels these days because she seems to be going into a politically radical direction, and I'm not sure if I like that. Whatever. But I used to be like, God, I wish she would show up at my house and scream at me, because I know that's what would work for me. And so I'd watch her screaming at people. I don't care. I don't care. You're just gonna keep running. People puking on the treadmills and all that. But it was very cool because there was a doctor that they had there, and he was probably the most level-headed guy that I guess was there, where he was like, this is a problem. These people this is like a health risk. And then supposedly at some point, Jillian Michaels knew that there was supposed to be speed being used, and she kind of didn't want anything to do with that. And then I found Bob to be quite dismissive. I don't know why. I always thought Bob was kind of a decent guy, but I watch him now, and he just, I don't know, he rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know if he's defensive over what the documentary was about, but I wasn't a fan of his attitude. Speaking of cruise ships, Amy Bradley is missing. There's another documentary where
I don't know that.
Amy. It's very good. Amy Bradley is a woman who went missing on a cruise ship in the 80s, and it's a whole story of the cruise ship she was on, the story of what was going on. They interviewed her family, the whole timeline of her missing. This Alistair guy that she was supposed to be talking to in the band, and how they feel that she was trafficked, and how since then there have been stories of people that have thought they have seen her off boat on shore, and that they believe that maybe she's still alive. I don't know, but there's been pictures that were found of her and things like that. So it was really good because it's an unsolved case, and it kind of brings it back because it's something that sometimes gets lost in the shuffle. And so bringing her back up in a documentary, that makes people find new information. It helps maybe possibly get the case back on track for people who, I don't know, who are looking for new leads, that kind of thing. In September, we had a documentary called Unknown Number, the high school catfish. And if you haven't seen this was one of the most shocking documentaries.
Oh my God. Don't give away the ending.
I won't. But all I could say is it is unbelievable how this turns out. And it's just mental illness. I don't know. Anyway, we'll leave that alone. But if I recommend you see it, because it's just odd. I don't know
Twisted.
what to say about it.
Just twisted.
In October, we had Aileen, Queen of the Serial Killers, and the Aileen Wuornos story. Now, anybody who knows anything about Aileen Wuornos, there's a difference in opinion about why she did what she did. With serial killers, they did talk to some judges and some psychologists and things like that, and they believe that most of the time, she came from a crap family. She came from a terrible situation, and a lot of times she was being attacked by men that were assaulting her. I mean, she was in a place where that happened, and so there are different. She even at the end came out and said, "Yeah, I don't care, and I did what I wanted because I wanted to." But like she had a girlfriend that they kind of got involved in explaining, and she kind of may or may not. My sister and I have the jury's out on that girlfriend. We think she had a lot more to do with it than. Anyway, she was executed, so we'll never get any story out of her anymore on that. But they went back over all of the facts and details and things like that, and most of it looks like self-defense. But at the end of the day, she knew she wasn't going to get away with it, so she just started saying, "Yeah, I don't care, whatever." She got anyway. She got very different at the end. There's a documentary called The Perfect Neighbor that came out in October. You must have seen that. If you did not see that, all I'm going to tell you is that documentary will anger you and upset you, and you will be pissed. It's called The Perfect Neighbor. It's about a woman called Susan Lawrence.
Okay.
And the death of a woman called Ajika Owens. She was shot over an iPad. But this is the whole story leading up to that, and it's all meaning it's all Axon. Sorry, it's all police camera evidence. So it's not like all of it's the cops that show up to the house over and over and like what they experience.
Right.
But yeah, the perfect
battling your horrid neighbor,
right,
and then hits a breaking point where somebody just loses it.
Right. You've seen it.
No, I haven't seen it, but you see it everywhere.
You've got to see it.
I mean, you see people freaking out over nothing in all these ring cameras and doorbell cameras, and why are you watering your yard on today? You're not supposed to have the water on this long, or your kids are laughing too loud in your backyard, or I smell you cooking something that I don't eat, but I'm going to call the cops on you anyway.
By the way.
I mean,
but you get into some of these HOA. I mean, here we don't have the HOAs, and we don't have gated community. I mean, I live in rural, small town America. In HOA, gated communities, you got these people that have this. I'm in charge of the neighborhood. Why are you parked here? And it's a pizza guy being like, "I'm delivering a pizza. Why are you why are you knocking on my window yelling at me? Like I work for DoorDash. You're not supposed to be in here." And I mean, it's getting bad. I mean, if it's really happening as much as you see,
think people are just starting. I always think people are losing their shit out there. They're losing their cookies out there.
They're entitled. They all want their little bit of power,
I guess.
Well, yeah, but it's so weird because it's the same people that are.
Right.
They want open. It's the same people that are yelling at everybody about open borders because I live in a gated community. And why are you in my gated community?
Right. I just don't. I don't know. Again, I don't. I think people should be people. In this particular documentary, basically, this was about children, and
Mhm.
in a neighborhood where there's a bunch of area for children to play, and they want to play basketball, they want to play in the
Right.
street, skateboard, or whatever they want to do, and they're not
Right.
causing any problem for traffic. And somebody just not wanting them to be happy and live and play in the neighborhood they're in.
Exactly.
And that's basically what this was about. And so, like I said, if you have not seen this, I recommend it. Like I said, you're gonna be infuriated, but it's something you really need to see because it goes on in these little neighborhoods all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not good when you got somebody who just you know,
Won't
even
mind
the
their own
cops,
business.
cops were exasperated by this woman, just like, oh god, she's calling again. Like they have to go out, they have to make the
Mhm.
complaint, and you know,
Mhm.
eventually
Absolutely.
they become popular to the police office to, oh, okay, you want to go do this? All right, I don't. But like I said,
Yeah.
it just goes horribly wrong at the end, and it can be bad. So it's something too. And then there's a documentary called The Alabama Solution. That came out October 10th. And that was about an Alabama jail that was treating inmates really horribly. And they somehow or other got some footage together on old cell phones and things like that, just to submit to the outside world because they were being, you know, abused and treated like crap by these wardens and things like that, and they weren't able to. They had no say, and the more they tried to complain, the more they got treated badly. So this is a video of like the actual treatment they were getting inside the jail,
Right.
being sent out in any way, shape, or form they could get it done, and that it actually made a difference in some way. Obviously, not completely, but at least to the point where people are aware. So there was Being Eddie. I don't know if you've seen Eddie Murphy. There's his documentary.
Oh yes, I was going to bring that up.
180. Yeah. It was pretty good. I liked it. You know, I mean, it was
was
obviously something he did for him. You know, it was obviously being produced by him, but that's all right. Eddie Murphy's always been kind of a low key. A lot of people think he's real outgoing and real outlandish, but he's pretty low key, quiet individual.
Yeah.
And a lot of his characters are just that way, and so people have always seen him to be that way. But it's pretty cool. It was good. It was nice. Selena y Los Dinos. I'm not sure if you've seen Selena, the documentary about Los Dinos, but it came out November 17th. It was basically about Selena and her family, but it also is about the family she came from and her dad and her dad's band and all that kind of stuff. So it starts when she was real small, and I think it's 5 years old or whatever, and what musical talent she had at that point, and then the whole story of how the children and the whole band got put together, and it's good because a lot of people see Selena as an artist that was solo, but she really wasn't. Her entire family was involved with her.
It was a band, yeah, family band.
Yeah.
Well, her husband wasn't her husband a guy in the band too and stuff.
Yep. I mean, Chris Perez was he was a guitarist in the band at some point, and then they ended up getting married. She was real young, but there's a story of like how, you know, the two of them kind of ran off and they had a little romance or whatever, and how her father didn't approve of it. And at the end of the day, when he left the band because his father kicked him out, he brought him back into the band and said, you know what, which I thought was really cool. Look, you know, she loves you. You treat her well. You know, you're part of the band. Like, you just be in the family. Welcome back to the family. I'm done with it, which is nice because a lot of fathers don't take that route. And she did do it in a way where she was going to do what she wanted to do no matter what. But it was just a really good. It was good just to kind of see. It didn't focus so much on Yolanda, which a lot of these documentaries do, and it showed more her family, how they banded together, how they took care of each other, how they came from nothing, and all that kind of stuff. And it showed you a very good portrait of her personality as somebody within her family, and how she was just a happy person, and just, you know, and how talented she was. Even they showed you the part of the documentary where, you know, they were going back and forth and trying to figure out what their band was going to be, what their kind of music they were playing, how they were going to different areas, and how their music maybe wasn't as popular as they thought it was going to be, and just like how they fine-tuned everything, and it was kind of cool to watch. But anyway, it made me very sad at the end because even though you know how it ends,
Of course,
it really brought her back to life. So I thought that was pretty cool. Then there was a documentary called The Carmen Family Deaths. If you know anything about Nathan Carmen, and he's out of Connecticut, and how he went out in a boat with his mother, and he came back, and she didn't have to, I don't know how many days, and this whole family being a rich family, and like him having extremely high autism and different things like that, and how they kind of used it in his depositions as like disregard as opposed to the way that his personality was, and all this kind of stuff. And I believe at the end of the day, I won't tell you how that ends either, but it was an interesting story about. There's always an interesting story about kids that are, or people that are being brought into an interrogation room, and how the cops that come in see it coming in, and how they view the person that they're talking to. And so this was the next one is a documentary called The Stringer, which was November 28th. Now that was a really good documentary about Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And if you, it was about Kim Phuc, the girl that was the big picture that went public, where she was kind of running down in Hanoi naked. She was probably 12 or 11 or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was a little kid. Yeah.
And how that photo went crazy. But there was a guy that was working for AP that, there were a bunch of guys that went over there and would take photos and whatever, and some of them would get published and some of them weren't. And the guy that took credit for that photo was not the guy that took that picture. And it's a whole documentary about trying to get the record straight for a guy that was, and they called them stringers. They're literally photo stringers that were from Vietnam. Yeah. And they would, whatever they made, $20 or whatever it was, they would go around and take pictures for the AP on the ground.
They sell the picture.
And then sell their pictures. And so there was this guy that did not take that picture. He was on that strip where the rest of the family was and the other photographers were. But they actually did a forensic study of the angle. It's really cool, of the angle of the camera and who was in the shot and all that other stuff. And they created a little 3D thing showing, here's the guy that says he took this picture, but look, he's not anywhere near this subject, blah, blah, blah. And they went to the guy and told him they knew it was him and they wanted to submit him to the AP. I guess there's a couple people that work the AP were kind of jerks and they knew better and they didn't care. And so they kept doubling down on the story. It's really, really good because that's another thing that's like gone by the wayside so much that most people don't remember the real details of what went on in Vietnam. And so, especially for reporters on the ground, the stuff that they had to see and things like that. So, just kids running down the street and napalm on them, like just stuff like that you would never, that's stuff you don't remember or that you don't, it's good to kind of not forget. So it's really good. I loved it. I thought it was great. There's a December documentary as we go on, All the Empty Rooms. That's a couple of guys that have gone around and taken pictures of all the empty rooms of children that were killed from gun violence in schools. And so they do it to create an album for the parents, but they also do it because they're trying to capture an idea of who that child was. They don't want the child to be known for being killed. So it's tough because a lot of these parents, they didn't touch their kids' rooms.
That's a lot of slog. That's a tough slog to get there.
Yeah, it is. The documentary is tough, but the people that are in there shooting the film, those guys really had a hard time with it, and they cried through a lot of it. And so the parents will sit down and they go, okay, tell us a story about your child and tell us all about what did you want us to know about her. They bring in videos of the child playing or doing, gymnastics or whatever it is. And then little things like the hair ties on the doorknob and what was under the bed and, just all that kind of stuff to make the room a living, basically it's a living memorial. And they did a bunch of these for different families. And like I said, yes, they made a huge color albums. Pictures, beautiful albums, and handed them over to the family. Here's what we, just mostly it looks like they did it for the family. There's a documentary about them doing it, but they wanted the family to have that as a memorial of their child. So it's tough, but it's something you need to see.
Right.
I think. Because it's nuts, when you start to think how much it adds up and how many of these kids are gone and all this
it's
other
commonplace,
stuff.
Unfortunately.
It is. And so that was what one of the guys said, like that this is like I'm on my 5th school, and like
Right.
you start to get to a point where you're like, this should not be a normal thing. Like it seems like it's a normal thing, but it shouldn't be. And because of looking at each and every child and learning who they are, that's what makes you understand it's unnatural. Okay, and then my big documentary of 2025, it's not the last one, but it's one of the bigger ones for me, was the Sean Combs The Reckoning. That was like an amazing. Now, anybody who knows
I purposely did not watch.
Oh, why not?
No, too slippery for me. No.
Oh, okay. Well, for me, I've been watching obviously I'm in the music business kind of in a way, in the sense that I've kind of watched him come up. And then all the
Right.
stuff that was associated with him that I don't know was just all abstract and not, if you went and looked up a timeline of him, it would be overwhelming. But like, because of the fact that he tried to bury so much stuff, and so much stuff got blamed on somebody else, and all this other stuff, it kind of, most people just don't see the whole picture. They're seeing parts of it.
Right.
And this documentary brought every single thing together in a timeline.
geez.
It went like this, and it's probably one of the most. I've seen 7 documentaries for this, and it's probably one of the best documentaries I have ever seen. Why? Because they're bringing in fact. They bring in
Right.
videos. They bring in people that were there. They bring in
Well,
police
at that,
reports.
and you got somebody driving the whole thing that despises him and is like,
True.
I'm not going to help you cover up a single bit of this. This is
Exactly.
all the stuff I know you exactly did. I'm not
Exactly.
twisting it. I'm not letting you slip away from it. The blame game's not going to
And-
work. The hearsay is not going to work.
Exactly.
Which makes a
Videos,
big
your
difference.
documents.
And I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
Okay, so one of the best things about this video, and that's why I think people should watch it, or this documentary, is that while Diddy was going through his trial, the beginning of his whole thing where they raided his house and all that other stuff, and then he shows up, he goes to wherever he goes, and he does that video about how sorry about what he did to Cassie was, the one that he tried to bury, and
Right.
came out. And then he goes to New York, and his lawyer says, you need to show up in New York and you need to present yourself so that you can be properly blah blah blah. So the first scene of the video of that documentary is he was making a documentary, Diddy was, of his victory that he knew he was going to have.
Right.
And the first scene that opens up in this documentary is a video of him in a hotel room talking to his lawyer about how he's losing and he doesn't like it, and he's demanding. Right. And you look out the window and there's like a SWAT team on the building across the street watching him. And you're like, it takes you about a couple of minutes, and then you're like, wait a minute, what? How am I seeing this? How is this happening? And it's basically, I think it's like 6 or 9. I don't know how many days it is before he gets arraigned or he gets indicted and then put in jail. But he just didn't think, based on how his life.
I'm untouchable.
Yeah. He's not above the law. He thought he was going to get through this. And when you hear some of the reports of what he tried to offer to get out when they locked him up, like he tried to give them his house. He sold everybody back their masters. He basically, he didn't care what he had to do because he didn't want to be in there. And they said, yeah, go ahead.
I seen a deal where, and it almost made me want to watch it. I don't watch a lot of TV and stuff like that, but like I'd seen a deal where it was like, how petty are you going to be? Because nobody can match 50 Cent's pettiness, because the documentary came out. Mm-hmm. 50 Cent went on
ABC
one talk show to promote it. Because that's the only channel that Sean Combs can watch in jail. And so that's the only channel. That's the only channel and talk show that he went on to promote it and talk about it, because that's the only channel they get in jail or something like that. And I mean, like, here's
why I think you should see it. And I'm not going to go down a political spectrum here, but I'm going to say there are some people out there that do not think that that the world applies to them. They just don't.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is a very huge portrait of somebody who had enough money and enough power to do whatever the F he wanted to do. And he thought he was never going to have to answer for it. And that starts back at City College in 1991. And nobody remembers City College. And I'm so glad they brought that into the documentary. They started his life from a child. They explained the stuff that he went through. They explained his mother, Janice, and the stuff she had him subject to, and the stuff that he watched her do, and all the stuff coming up. but it shows how he did what he did to get where he is, as far as
Right.
how he I don't know, at some point he decided he had to just disregard humanity to be where he wanted to be. He didn't want to be under, so he wanted to be over, and he didn't care what it made people
And
feel.
little by little, everything escalates. I mean,
It does.
you go from being a hustler,
Right.
smooth talking dancer guy to
I don't know. That he
you
was
get
that
one of the
smooth.
biggest rappers on the planet under your
Yeah.
thumb, and then you know whether the conspiracy theory of him being involved or not.
Well,
when
a
he
lot of
tried
that
to
is-
leave
a lot
and
of
do
that-
all that
yeah.
stuff, but he got away with that, and he got away with this, and he kept getting away, and he kept getting away, and Harvey,
Right.
And to
Weinstein
me-
was the same way, and so was Bill Cosby, and so was
Epstein.
I mean,
and so that's
yeah,
what I'm saying.
I
We're going
mean-
down this road of there are people out there that I don't. I won't go too crazy with this, but starting with you don't want children to be harmed.
right.
But if you look at
True.
every single place that children have been told is safe, every single corporation, every single conglomerate, every single event, every single location that has supposed to been good for kids was not. Every
No,
single one of them,
absolutely.
from the Boy Scouts to the church to Nickelodeon to Disney to like every single place that have said, "Hey, welcome, you children are welcome here. They're safe here."
No.
Every single place in history that
Right.
has said that has been
Yep.
the exact opposite, right? So I'd want to see people understand that like there's something going on out there where they're not being told the whole story. And the thing about Diddy luckily for Cassie, two things happened. When Cassie sued him, he settled in a day. That right there was okay. Because of the evidence that she had.
Right.
But when he goes to trial the second time, all the evidence that did not get shown in courtroom for trial number one, the civil trial that she went after him for, is now public knowledge.
Right.
So after she sued him and he settled, her video was public knowledge. He paid somebody to bury that video, and so people needed to understand that video did not come to light because he arranged for that video to go bye-bye. But she knew what happened, and they pulled a copy of it because of the fact that it was federal and it had to be released for the court, and that's why we saw it when we did.
Mhm.
So no matter what she did, he settled, and good for her. I don't know what he gave her. I hope it was more money than she's ever seen in her life after the stuff that she's been doing. And when I see that video and what he did to her in that video, if you are a woman and you have dealt with domestic violence in any way, shape, or form, you know if he did that in front of cameras in a hotel room in a hallway, he had no regard. It had to be absolutely unbelievable when
she wasn't human to him.
Right. And he was so. I think he was so confident that he didn't care. He knew he was going to be able to put that video somewhere and nobody would ever see it. Also, there's so much video that I'm sure that got confiscated when he got raided.
I'm sure.
And there's a lot of people in Hollywood, and I don't care. I'm willing to let everybody go that I have ever liked as a celebrity. I don't care. I don't care who you are. If you were in there and you were doing stuff, I'm done with you. I'm canceled. If you were involved with Epstein in any way, I'll cancel you. I don't care how much of a star you are, how much I liked you. I had to give up Bill Cosby, so you know what I mean. So it's just interesting to watch it because you need to see how arrogant he really was and how much he really thought that people were chess pieces for him, and how it was okay. And if you look at his whole life, everything just tally up the deaths around him, and that's all you need to do.
But I mean, the worst part is that it takes somebody that can match them monetarily.
Yeah.
And the pettiness of it, because if you wouldn't have had somebody like 50 Cent,
right,
a lot of this stuff never would have happened. And so then you look at all of the company that he keeps, the Bill Cosbys, the Weinsteins, the Epsteins, the Oprahs, all of these other huge people that are probably the exact same.
Right.
But haven't had anybody stand up and arrest them and then have it all come out. Because
I really hope.
I mean, you see, you are the company you keep, and so look at all the people that he's hobnobbing with all the time.
I want them all taken down. I want everybody out there
Right.
that's decided that a human life is expendable to them because they have the money, the resources, whatever. So,
Exactly.
And it's all
I'm not-
power. I mean, you hear all these rumors about, I mean,
right.
all of these people. And I mean, it's not like it's, I would say more than I would say the majority of these people start to
I know.
abuse this power, whether they started out that way. I mean, I don't see any of the politicians really any different than
No,
that.
I don't either.
I don't see any of the producers, the people in the music industry. I mean, they're
I
all
don't either.
lying, cheating, cutting
the-
each other's.
The thing
You
that
know what
Okay,
I mean? I
okay,
mean, none of
guys,
them
guys.
are doing honest business,
Right.
and they definitely don't care about us.
Guys, we're an hour 40 in, and Ron has already put up the graphic for tomorrow.
Okay. I'll finish my
So-
thing next week.
I know we could go on.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's get the plugs in right now. Lena, you have a show coming
I
in?
do. We're working on it. At the beginning of the year, there was some snags we ran into, and then the holidays showed up. So we just decided we're gonna kind of regroup and start at the beginning of the year. So that's what we're gonna do. I will let you know as soon as I have everything all set, though.
Okay. JP, anything?
Nope, I'm busy packing and moving. So
I was just gonna ask you that. I know when was that happening? I thought for some reason it was the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I thought it was,
well, we got pushed
first.
back a week, so I close on the 14th. I gave the owner an extra week past closing if he needs it to move out. And so I'll either be moving middle of the month or the last weekend of the month in a mad dash to not be stuck here into February.
Oh, gotcha. I have a project called Circling the Drain Podcast. Check it out. It's like the morning show. It's going to make you feel better about yourself with when we talk about all the idiots in the world, like we were just talking about for quite a while. So on behalf of Wayne and JP and myself, I want to thank you for hanging out with us. Happy New Year, because apparently I can still say that today, right?
Yep.
We
You could say it
discussed
whenever
that
you want.
earlier. Be sure to join us tomorrow. Ron and Kenny will be here, the Dream Team for Sunday. And remember, if you need some fun, always join us here because we have it going on daily. Bye, guys.